Hi, in this video I'll be hooking up these components to this Yamaha receiver. This receiver has only one input for only one cassette deck. I'll be hooking up 3 cassette decks through a source selector. Other components are CD player and CD recorder, speakers and subwoofer. Let's begin. Based on this Yamaha RX V450, not so vintage receiver from 2004-2005 era. Let's have a look at the back of it and its inputs. And I think I'll begin with the speakers, because they're a bit hard to get once everything else is in place. Speakers A at the top, speakers B at the bottom, surround speakers 1, 2, 3, 4. So center left and right, back left and right. And I'll begin with speakers A. Left negative. I'm using the stripe on the cable as an indicator for negative. And left positive. These just screw down on the cable like that. Or you can use banana plugs in the back of these as well, if you've got enough room behind the device. This is the right hand side speaker, and also you can use banana clips here, plugs, or just clamp the cable with these clamps here. Like that. And repeated the same process for the right hand side speaker. So that's speakers A done. Let's connect some B speakers to this. Speaker B's are Sony's, and they have a slightly different arrangement for the cables. Left speaker B positive connected. Let's connect the negative, and the left negative connected. Let's connect the right speaker B, and again the side with a stripe on the cable I'm using as a negative, and I have repeated that with a positive speaker B, right speaker B. So that's my speakers connected. I still got room for 4 more speakers, left and right center, and left and right surround back, which I don't think I'll be using this application, but you got that option there. There's also a switch, impedance selector switch on this amp, and yeah, let's connect some more stuff to it. The next component I want to connect is this CD burner, CD recorder. And in this case I'll have to use the RCA plugs, not the balance XLR cables, because there's no XLR inputs on this. And that I'm going to connect to VCR in and out of these. So analog output out of this CD recorder into VCR input. So these two in this case. and analog input from the CD recorder, right channel and left channel. Push them on there properly. It'll go to VCR out, just here. And that's my CD recorder connected. Just need the power plug. And that's interconnected with my amp now. Next, I want a cassette deck, and actually on more than one cassette deck, so I think I'll use a switch box to connect all these because there's just not enough inputs on this amplifier. It's a fairly basic amplifier with connectors just for one cassette deck and a CD player as well, but just one cassette deck. So I'll leave the cassette decks for later when I get the switch box out. And next in the stack I want a CD player. So the CD player on at the top. So this is an older CD player and it's only on RCA out. That will go to, what I see it's CD here. The amp's got optical inputs, but not the CD player, so on RCA to here. So right and left from the CD player to CD player, right and left on the amp, and that's my CD player connected to now. Next will be the switch box. The switch box has various inputs on optic, S-video, Ethernet and RCA plugs. In this case I'm just going to use RCA plugs in all cases. There's 4 inputs and 1 output side on it. Right, let's move on to the next step. So next step is 3 cassette decks wired through the source selector into the single input on the amplifier here. First of all, I'll just hook it up for playback only. However, I want 3 fully functional decks, meaning I want playback as well as recording capability, but we'll take it step by step. So the tape deck at the top, I'm going to make it source 1 on the source selector, and I'll hook in line out of the cassette deck into the input on the source selector. So line out on the first cassette deck into input on the source selector here, left and right channel, line out to line in on the source selector input. Let's do the second deck as well, and the third deck. Again, line out, left and right channel, we'll go to input 2 on the source selector, like that. And now for the third deck, into input 3, again on the source selector. Again, deck 3, output, left and right channel, into input on the source selector 3. Like that. Now, let's just say you want you only concerned with playback only for all those 3 cassette decks here. So what I'll do is output on the source selector will go into play inputs on the amplifier. Let's do that. So let's play in left and right channel on the amplifier, and that will go to output on the source selector here. And now you'll have playback capability from all 3 decks selected by the source selector here, switch box. Connected like this to the output of the switch box source selector. However, I want to be able to record on those 3 decks as well. Not all at once, but one at a time. I'll need to connect out, recording out of the amplifier into inputs on all these cassette decks, all 3. Line in, interconnected with here. So to do that, I'll need to connect something here, preferably a pair of RCA cables, as nothing else will fit. Like that. And now at the other end, I've just got 1 pair of RCA cables again, and that's got to go into 3 decks, remember. What do we do? This is where these things come into play. RCA in and 2 RCA outs on the other end. I'll need a few of these. So I've got 3 interconnected here, and 1 in will give me 2 out. And I've got another one here. And to do that, I'll need a pair of RCA cables to go into out, or record out on the amp. But because I've got 3 cassette decks that I want to hook up, I'll need a pair of piggyback cables like that. And 4 of these RCA adapters. Two for one channel and 2 for another channel. And those will plug in into the back of the piggyback cables like that. Like this, and now I've got 2, 3 outs. And the same on the other channel. Let's plug them in. This end will go in here. Like that. So that's one end. And the other end, let's put them in the top deck, for instance. Here like that. Left channel. Spin it around. And the right channel. Make sure they're all the way in home. So that looks like that. And now I have 2 outs, well 3 really if I maybe not 3 because there's no room to plug in, but that's 2 is all I need now, because I've got first deck interconnected. Now I need to make a connection in between one of these into here and into here on the other 2 decks. Let's do that. So I've got left on top and right on the bottom. So I'll connect it like this. And that will go into one of these 2 decks below. Let's make it this one. It doesn't really matter which one it is. Right to right and left to left. Like that, all the way in home. My fingers don't want to fit in there, and I can't see where I'm going with it either. But like that, so that's interconnected now. One more left to go, and that'll go into these 2 here. So I'll need one more cable, and that will go in here. It's all connected like that, and it's going to go into this deck here like that, and that's all decks interconnected now. And I might just tape these together so it's sitting there a little bit better. Yes, I've taped all this so it's a bit more secure. These cables are a bit heavy, so plugged in as it was before. So that's all plugged in now. All 3 decks interconnected with the amplifier. So I'd like to point out that this amplifier does not have a dedicated turntable connection here either. That's just what it's got. What I've got left to do is connect the FM AM antennas, perhaps a couple of center speakers if I wish to, and a subwoofer here. It's got a dedicated connector for the subwoofer. If you have 2 subwoofers, again you can use one of those RCA connectors in here where the subwoofer goes, and have 2 mono subwoofers if you wish. So to connect the subwoofer, all I need is a single cable, and they'll connect here and interconnect with the subwoofer on the other end. Right here on top, and left channel, if you just got 1 mono output, they'll go into here, fully home, and that's the interconnection in between the amp and the subwoofer. AM loop antenna will connect here, with the center being the antenna. They'll go up the top, and that is ground. They'll go up the bottom like that, and the FM antennas below. And that would go at the bottom here. like that. And now I'm good to go, and so are you if you got that far. So this is all you need to enjoy your music from this type of setup. So two of these cassette decks are 3-head cassette decks, the one on top and the second one from the top are both 3-head cassette decks. So let's make this a little bit more complicated. 90% of time you won't need this, and say I want to use the tape monitor function button on those decks. I can do that through the multi-channel input, and there is a separate video on that, and using the 3-head deck with this particular amplifier. So let's make things more complicated and extend this input into two inputs that I'll need for my two 3-head cassette decks. Push these all the way in, and now I've got input for two cassette decks into the multi-channel input. So for that, I'll have to unplug the line out on this 3-head cassette deck and insert another pair of these adapters, and then reconnect the cables again like that, and that's reconnected as it was before. Now I have to make a connection in between here and in between these two. So I've done that at the top, and now let's get that connected at the bottom to the multi-channel output here. Let's go for the bottom one. So that will be my tape monitor input into the multi-channel input. And I've got one more deck left, the one at the top. And what I'm going to do here is unplug the line out, focus, unplug the line out cables from this 3-head cassette deck, and like that, and I'm going to plug in another set of those piggyback cables, right channel at the bottom and left channel up the top, like that. And those cables I have just unplugged, they're going to go into here again. Right at the bottom and left at the top, and I've taped it again to give it a bit more strength. This is getting really heavy, all these cables connected here. Now the other end of that piggyback cable will go to the adapters on the amp here again, left channel here and the right channel here. And now I have tape monitoring function on the two top decks there, and that is really, this is a lot now. This is everything. There's nothing else to do except to turn it on and listen to the sound. Everything's plugged in. Our light auxiliary goes in at the front of the amp there at the front, and I can plug that into a phone, tablet or whatever. And yeah, now it's done. And with all the cassette decks interconnected like this, I advise that only one cassette deck be turned on at any given time. Thank you for watching, and see you next or one of the previous videos.